And hello, race fans, and welcome here back to the Michigan International Speedway, where as we've concluded our first half of the season just a couple of weeks ago at the Chicagoland Speedway, and continuing on the Walker Family Motorsports dominance with Campbell Marsh taking the victory over there, we come over to the Michigan International Speedway, WRLA's backyard, to continue on with our festivities with WRLA coming home I don't even know what I'm saying because I'm excited to get the second half of the season underway. And here at the Michigan International Speedway, it is the running of the Ally 250. We had an amazing truck race last night, and of course we saw Billy Kidd take home the victory to get his first Menards Truck Series victory. And of course, in the Truck Series, we've seen a lot of first-time winners, but here in the Xfinity Series, it's a bit of a different story, as we do have two multi-time winners, but Campbell Marsh added his name to the list of winners for 2026 with Walker Family Motorsports at Chicagoland last week, and now here we are at Michigan looking to try to continue that dominance. But as you're probably going to hear, I am not alone. Joining me in the booth are the two usual owners, that being Wyatt Walker and also Russell Blaze. Gentlemen, welcome back to the booth and back here at Michigan. How are we doing?
Well, glad to be here, honestly.
It's great to be back. Sorry.
But no, it's good to see how everything's going to turn out. And next year, granted part-time, but I'll be joining these guys if I make the field.
Well, how about that? We're definitely getting a lot of news here pretty early, and definitely jumping the gun on silly season, if you will. But focusing in here on today, we had the Truck Series last night take to the track, and it was absolutely chaotic, but still saw some pretty good racing nonetheless. Well, but mainly the topic of conversation has been a lot of 3 and 4 wide, but also the PJ1 that would be resting at the top of all 4 corners has been removed. And how obviously you kind of saw the effects of that. How do you think it's going to affect these Xfinity cars here tonight?
Well, we're going to see a lot of we're going to see a lot of 4 wide, especially on restarts accounts. But I think racing will be a bit crazy. Sorry, I do apologize. My brain, my mouth's working faster than my brain at the moment. I do apologize. But racing should be pretty good, pretty crazy. Bunch of 4 wide. Just try not to go 5 wide.
Racing here, I've experienced it myself, and 4 wide would be really pushing it. But yeah, definitely no 5 wide or nobody's going to make it.
And we definitely saw the effects of 5 wide here at Michigan last night in the truck race. And that definitely didn't turn out all that well for several contenders, and especially that lap and a half to go crash coming to the white flag. I mean, obviously there was lots of drivers that were not happy with the ending of that race, but some of them that are in this field here for tonight that were in last night's truck race, they get to put that behind them and focus here on tonight's Xfinity Series race. Let's go ahead and look at your point standings coming into tonight's show. Ray Atikian still holds on to the points lead with 307 points to his name. You got John Boyd with runner-up in the point standings with 265 points to his name. Still has yet to score a win for Vision Motorsports. Thomas Jericho, our Talladega winner, is third with 248. Sam Robinson fourth with 232. Our Auto Club and Charlotte winner, Reagan DeFeo, currently rounding out your top 5 in the point standings. She competed in last night's Truck Series race, I do believe. Definitely looking forward to tonight, see how she does here for this event. Campbell Marsh, our Chicagoland winner, rounding out the, starting the top 10 in the sixth position with 222 points to his name. Alexander Rowe, his former teammate in the Cup Series, is seventh with 210. Ryan Kendall with 206 in eighth. In ninth is our Brazil winner, Igor Barreto, and Kasumi Takashi. From our Las Vegas winner, she rounds out your top 10. Take a look at the rest of your point standings coming into this event. Some drivers that actually did get some pretty good runs back at Chicagoland. Eric Blaze, a top 5 effort for him, took home a podium finish. And Russell, I mean, we've been talking about it almost every time that you've been in the booth. You've got to be very proud of the improvements that Eric has made over the course of the last few weeks that date back to Iowa. A consistent string of top 5s and even top 10 finishes, and then just a couple weeks ago, Chicagoland taking home a career best third place finish. You got to be proud of that. All right, we definitely know Russell's thoughts on Eric's performance. But continuing on with the rest of your point standings, as you can see, we're going to go all the way down towards the bottom of the points bracket. And we see it there. Jordan Sumner, 28th in the standings, and then 29th for Carter Belair. Reagan Whitlock, for Walker Family Motorsports, Wyatt, I mean, you obviously do have Campbell Marsh and Ray Atikian that are inside of the top 10 in the points standings. But as we look down below that, you got Reagan Whitlock 30th and also Derek Hamill 32nd. Of course, not really what you want to see, especially as a team owner. But, going into the second half of the season, what would your advice be for Reagan Whitlock and Derek Hamill in order to see some improvements here as we begin the second half of the season?
Yeah, so it's a tale of two stories between half of my team. You got Ray and you got Campbell. They've already won, especially Campbell last week. I've been very happy, both of them. Reagan was good in the beginning, had a little bit of fall off. My advice to both of them: keep your head up. Y'all are still doing pretty good. Just keep going at it. I don't know if the men's facility, but I know that Derek Hamill won't be coming back to the 19, unfortunately, but he's been doing good with us so far. So keep pushing it and keep perform well and get audition for another ride. But I'm like I said at the end, I do apologize. My brain is working faster than my mouth today. I don't know what's going on, but my advice: just keep pushing, keep racing, and have some fun.
And what Wyatt is alluding to here, and I'm not quite sure if we made this announcement or at least brought it up during the Chicagoland weekend, but it was announced just behind the scenes, and we'll definitely update the Discord as the year goes on. But Wyatt, you definitely have to be feeling pretty good about this announcement. Vanessa Gilbreth, you're bringing her on to drive the number 19, taking Derek Hamill's place here in 2027. Of course, you definitely have to be pretty impressed with that performance that she had in Iowa, making her Xfinity Series debut there, replacing Haley Tullis. Wyatt, you definitely got to be feeling it heading into 2027 with Vanessa Gilbreth.
I am really looking forward to 2027. My lineups for both the Cup and Xfinity are pretty stacked. I will announce more stuff about the Cup side on a later date. But like the Xfinity, I'll gladly say that both we also got Ray coming back again in the 20. Campbell obviously mentioned in the Cup race last week that Campbell is coming back to 18. But Vanessa, like as you mentioned, she did really well on her debut at Iowa. I was pretty proud, and that was good enough to give my cousin a ride. So I'm looking forward to see how well she does next year.
That is good news for her long term, but however, the bad news of as far as today's race is concerned, she did not make the field, unfortunately, but she will have a lot of other opportunities within these next 9 races. Let's take a look at your starting lineup here for the Ally 250 here at Michigan. You got Marcus Sachi and Dana Mon on the front row. They'll be leading the field of the green flag alongside basically in row number 1, Jordan Sumner, Eric Blaze. They make up the second row. Quentin Moore, Caleb Rose, a pair of part-time drivers. Quentin Moore, will see him tomorrow in the Cup race. And then Caleb Rose in the 6th position. Ryan Davis, same for him. We'll see him tomorrow, along with Alexander Rowe lining up in the 8th position. Reagan Whitlock and Sam Robinson, car 10, starting in P10. For Robinson. That completes your top 10. Then you got Will Parrish, Marion Judicia, Bryce Egan, Val Moscow, Joshua Neely, Ray Atikian, Reagan DeFeo, Nick Martin, Thomas Jericho, Sarah Taylor. That is your top 20. And then we take a look at the second half of the field, and you do see 39 cars that are slotted in here for this event. One of them not here for this field, and that would be Shauna Martin, who is not a part of this field. She initially was going to be a part of this race, but due to the 39 car limit that obviously was programmed into this track, she has to withdraw from this session, or at least she chose to withdraw. Therefore, she will see her later on in the season. But continuing on here, you got John Boyd and Campbell Marsh in the 11th row, Ajax Fitzgerald, Steve Morgan, a couple of Death Rider racing cars in row number 12, Carter Belair, and also Noah Cars in row 13, Igor Barreto, Celeste Lace, and you have Justin Ingleham and Sebastian Kukulon rounding out your top 30. And then Erica Douglas, Kasumi Takashi, Harun Khan Kwailoglu, Haley Curris, Josiah Munsell, Kenny Stremme, and then also Austin Kane, Derek Hamill in the 19th row, and starting in the caboose all by himself is Ryan Kendall in the 39th position. Well, we had an amazing truck race last night, 50 laps last night. Here tonight, it is 60 laps, and this race could be a little bit more tame. We're about to begin the second half of the Xfinity Series season. We've had a great year thus far, and we're getting ready to see what the second half of the year holds for these drivers. They're all strapped into their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are just now starting to wrap up, but in order to get these 39 behemoths rolling on the racetrack, we got to get the command to fire the engines. So let's go trackside and get just that.
Drivers, start your engine!
And there it is. Engines are fired. Pace car is rolling off, and so are these 39 contenders. And my goodness, we had a great truck race last night. And, we would ask Russell. Of course, he's going to be watching his cars here for tonight. But Wyatt, I'm going to turn this question over to you. Who do you think is going to possibly have the upper hand and maybe see if they can go to victory lane here for tonight?
Well, bias me. I want to say our Walker family cars have been on a roll, so I would, as an owner, I'd be happy to see that. But as a non-owner, unbiased, this one, it's hard to choose because the winner can come from any place. It's hard to choose like a specific person. So I'll let Russell have this one.
So, like Wyatt said, unbiased, I'd like to see some of my cars win. This might make Wyatt happy. I'm actually keeping my eye on Ray Atikian.
All right, here we go. Pace car is off. Sachi, Aman, lead him to green and get things underway from here in Michigan.
Okay, calm start. Oh, we got one going on. Looked like 3 wide in the back.
Well, it may be 3 wide in the back, but so far up at the front, it has been clean and green thus far. Just double file temporarily, but I would expect these drivers to go 3 wide at the front,
And
as
here
they
we
are
go.
right now.
There
Quentin
we go.
Moore threading the needle underneath of Sachi. And just to the outside of Jordan Sumner, he will lead lap number 1. And they're still 3 wide. Sumner trying to take it downstairs, or at least trying to make some grip
Are we going 4?
downstairs.
I thought we were going to go 4 wide for a second there.
We almost did. I mean, we've seen a lot of 4 wide in last night's truck race, and you can go 4 wide and get away with it. We've seen it a lot in last night's truck race, obviously, when there were not as many drivers all in one big pack as what we're seeing here for tonight. But it's definitely something to expect here for this race here tonight. Whitlock tried to go to the inside of Jordan Sumner, wasn't able to make anything happen down on the inside. And we're really starting to see that outside groove really start to be the beneficial line. And one car might have already gotten down on the apron. That could have been John Boyd in the 41 machine, but you can definitely see a lot of these drivers really start to fan out 3 and 4 wide going through turns 1 and 2. You're definitely seeing a lot through 3 and 4. Whitlock has to lift, and meanwhile at the front, Quentin Moore holding off a challenge from Dana Mon, and there's Eric Blaze in the number 8, Russell. Like I've mentioned at the top of the show, you've definitely got to be very proud of his accomplishments as of recently.
Oh yeah, like ever since that I made the announcement of the race for the seat, for the cup race, it's like he changed a whole new gear and is showing what he is capable of. So yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed with what he's accomplished so far.
Well, currently he's being scored 3rd, but since he's on that inside line, that with the inside not having a lot of grip down on the bottom and the middle to top lanes being the way to go, obviously that's where the most grip is at right now. He has dropped all the way back to 9th, but still inside of the top 10. Quentin Moore still leading the way. Caleb Rose now moves into 2nd. How about Alexander Rowe moving up into 3rd? As 3 cars are all single file at the front of the field momentarily. Now you got Caleb Rose working his way to the inside of Moore as they come off of the 4th corner. He's got to run down to the inside, but not going to be able to make it stick. Moore is going to lead that lap. You know, it's actually interesting. The first 5 laps, and I don't think a full-time championship contender has led a lap yet. I think Moore and even Caleb Rose, but more so Quentin Moore, for the most part, has kind of kept all these full-timers shut out from any sort of bonus points that they could be getting here. And that has got to be absolutely infuriating if your drivers like Alexander Rowe, Dana Mon, Jordan Sumner, Sachi, Robinson, and a lot of these other contenders, because those are some very valuable points that these drivers could be racking up here throughout this event.
Yeah, this is like, I mean, like if I was a full-time in this series, I would actually be trying to charge harder to get around them, because they're full-time in another series. It's like they don't need the points, I need it more. So I'm going to try to be hungrier than they are.
I think Alexander Rowe might have been listening to you, Russell, because he just absolutely sent it through turns 3 and 4 and actually buried his number 2 Whelen Chevy into the corner, takes the lead away from Quentin Moore. New race leader, Alexander Rowe in the 2. I think Jordan Sumner also just saw what Rowe was able to accomplish on the inside line, so she's going to try to replicate it for herself, bringing Sam Robinson in the 10 with her.
And believe it or not, the start has been really calm. In the middle there, we did see some 4 wide. Almost about to have 4 wide right here. I think we are about to go 4 wide.
And there it is. There's 4 abreast.
I know Rowe is.
Crazy.
I know Rowe is enjoying what they are seeing with them going 4 wide where he could just easily check out and say, see ya.
That was about a 0.4 of a second lead there that Rowe had for a split moment, but he couldn't get too comfortable because Caleb Rose is just absolutely drafted up to the back bumper of the 2 of Alexander Rowe. He's going to take it downstairs on the number 2 as they come off of turn number 4. Meanwhile, further back, look at Dana Mon trying to thread the needle in between Quentin Moore, Jordan Sumner. He did get by Val Moscow around the outside of the 36. But just look at this, absolutely just bunching up here towards the front of the field. How about the 31 of Marion Judicia now starting to make some noise in this machine? Where Jordan Anderson Racing as we're side by side for the top position on the back straightaway with just about a 1/6 of the way through this race. Caleb Rose is going to go right on by the 2 of Alexander Rowe as they come off of turn number 4. Mid-pack, about 3 abreast here. That's Reagan Whitlock on the high side. Thomas Jericho in the middle, Robinson on the bottom, and there's Ray Atikian in the 20. That's our points leader coming into this race. He has worked his way up into the 18th position scoring-wise as of right now, so he's mid-pack, and we do have pit stops that may potentially be coming up. Maybe, I want to say right around lap 25-ish, so I would definitely expect pit strategy to maybe, just maybe, if Atikian is able to play his cards right, put him up towards the front of the field, and if that's the case, he could be on his way to win number 3 on the season, and that would be absolutely historic.
Very impressive like that. You don't know, in racing, it's never easy to get a win. And
whoa! Little bit of close call there between Nick Martin, Noah Cars, and Val Moscow. But they all managed to keep their cars straight. They didn't magnetize on top of one another. We're still green. But look at, man, Ray Atikian trying to thread the needle between Joshua Neely and Sam Robinson. He definitely got a good run coming through turn 4 there, but was not able to execute. At least for the most part. One car in the wall, that's Carter Belair in the 51, so a little bit of momentum is going to be lost on his end, but I would definitely have to agree there, Russell. It's absolutely impressive that how Ray Atikian has been able to keep his momentum up throughout the season. He has 2 wins, one at Iowa and another at Texas World, and almost got 3 in a row at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And man, why? I mean, again, this is exactly why you re-signed Ray Atikian to come back for 2027 in this car in particular. And again, you had your reasons, and this is it. He's been showing it all year long thus far.
Yeah, he's showing more and more reasons why he was my first draft pick for my Xfinity series. And I'm glad to see he's going to be back. We have a bunch of crazy racing all around. I see him also racing with his teammate of Campbell Marsh, who won last time we were racing here in Xfinity. But we got a bunch of crazy racing all around. They've been really close though. Pretty close on the almost record on a few times. But looks like we got a battle for the lead between the 43 and the 98.
Yep, Sumner and Rose.
Yeah, and Jordan Sumner going to the inside to try to take over that top position. She's got it. Made that look pretty easy. Going down the back straightaway into the 3rd corner. Caleb Rose trying to get back at it, but not able to make the run stick as they come off of turn number 4. 15 laps complete, 1/4 of the way done here in the Ally 250. Just in case for those that are now tuning in, don't worry about the frames. Those will definitely get cleared up after our first round of green flag pit stops. That's just what happens when you tab out of the game for too long. But Jordan Sumner has been leading, obviously, since last lap. Actually, she took the lead away from Caleb Rose pretty easily, going down the back straightaway. But we've been caution-free thus far, so a little bit of a tamer start than what we saw in last night's truck race. 4 cars, single file. You got Sumner, Rose, and then the 2 Jordan Anderson Racing cars of Dana Mon and also Mary Judicia make that 5 as our pole sitter Marcus Sachi moves up in the 5th. Battle for 6 is on between Will Parrish and also the 2 of Alexander Rowe. And Eric Blaze right in the middle of it, right into the thick of it, inside of the top 10. And then Ryan Davis, our Daytona winner, currently up into the 9th position. Oh, a little bit of a close call there between Alexander Rowe and Marcus Sacchi. I think Rowe was trying to get in line behind the 14, and he's going to actually scrape the wall heading into turn number 1, so a little bit of momentum is going to be lost on the 2's part. So he'll slip outside of the top 10 momentarily, but maybe after pit stops, we might see Alexander Rowe back inside of the top 10. And, well, Wyatt, here he is. Ray Atikian getting ready to knock on the door of the top 10, and look who he's bringing with him. That's Reagan Whitlock in the 54, and they are 4 abreast right in front of your cars, Wyatt.
Yeah, that's a scary look when you look at it like that. As long as they don't go 5, I'm not going to worry as much. But yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning, and I hope Reagan Whitlock heard me when I was talking, like, all you got to do is just keep on going, having fun, try to keep the car clean, and you're moving up to the front along with Ray Teakin. That's what I like to see on my cars, as the 98 and the 43 still battle for the lead. Looks like the 31 is coming up on the draft.
Yeah, Mary Judicia has not had herself a great season thus far, and it's actually very nice to actually see this 31 up inside of the top 5. She's been needing a very dire need of a great run and a great finish, and if she can actually stay up here inside of the top 5, especially after pit stops, then she may have it made, and she's going to try to go for that 2nd position on Jordan Sumner. And it looks like she's going to have it. Coming down the front straightaway, going to be able to make that drive down the front stretch, work to her benefit. Maybe snagging a little bit of a draft off of the 43 of Caleb Rose, and that's going to pull her up into the 2nd position. Sumner now starting to slip back to 3rd, maybe even 4th, as meanwhile, a little bit further in the back, Reagan Whitlock fighting Ryan Davis. That looks to be for the 7th position, maybe even 8th here. Ooh, a little bit of a close quarters there between Will Parrish and Jordan Sumner. And we are at the point of this green flag run where the tires, they're definitely starting to go, and these drivers are starting to slip and slide around. Marcus Sacchi, Eric Blaze getting together there. Blaze has the lift, and look at all the momentum that he just lost there. He's going to go from 7th all the way outside of the top 10, and I think he might slot himself into either 11th or 12th by the time we get back to the start-finish line. But Russell, you definitely flinched there. I could hear it.
Yeah, this is something that I didn't want to see. You know, he's been getting in close calls. You know, part of 3 and 4 wide, but still making it stick, so.
And I'm actually kind of surprised, because I thought he would have definitely fallen outside of the top 10, but he has managed to retain that 7th spot quite nicely, actually, as he's behind Reagan Whitlock in the 54 and in front of Dana Mon, and pit stops are getting ready to start. Jordan Sumner is going to bring her car on down to pit lane, see if there's anybody else that's going to join her, and it looks like she is the only one thus far that is going to begin our first round of green flag pit stops. And we've seen this theme before, where a good chunk of drivers, at least the first half of a 40 to 39 car field, pits, and it could be absolute mayhem. And these drivers, I think you gentlemen would have to agree, especially from your guys' experience, everybody's going to have to be very careful, and especially on this first round of green flag stops, trying to get onto pit road as safely as possible.
Especially if you're in the high line, you gotta try to find the right spot to get down into the bottom. Yeah, they're bumping into each other.
Yeah, they were playing a little bit of bumper cars there. Campbell Marsh, why it was in the middle of that one, that probably had to make you a little bit nervous there.
A little bit, yeah. Just pit road is just really tight as we're getting ready for the second wave. Looks like we're about to come on down. One thing about these pit stops, you gotta watch who's all coming in or coming out to make sure you don't run into each other. That's been a theme in like some of these pit stops as of late. You gotta watch who's coming out, coming in, or just keeping it. Sorry, I seem like I'm distracted today. I do apologize, y'all.
Well, so far it looks like there's only two other cars that stayed out. That's Joshua Neely in the 1 and the 32 of Erica Douglas. So they would have to be the last two drivers to come on into pit road. So they will surrender first and second to get their stops completed. And Marion Judicia was able to, I believe she got out ahead of Jordan Sumner. So once we get things cycled back around, she may potentially be our new race leader. They just got by Reagan DeFeo on the 45. There's Will Parrish up ahead and Caleb Rose now making his way back up onto the racetrack, onto the racing surface, and they're going to go right on by the 43. So potentially, and most certainly, our fight for the lead is going to happen right here between these ladies over here, Marion Judicia and Jordan Sumner. They're going to be duking it out for what's going to be for the top position. On the outside, it will be Judicia that's going to lead that lap. Actually, no. I stand corrected. They've got to get by Neely and Erica Douglas. I'm right there with you, Wyatt. I may feel a little bit distracted, but also kind of out of it at the same time. But this right here is for the lead. Sumner just took it away from Erica Douglas. Now that they've gotten by Joshua Neely and also Erica Douglas, who have now made their way back out onto the racetrack. So, as we are approaching the halfway mark of the Ally 250 here at the Michigan International Speedway, your top 10 is going to look like this. Jordan Sumner is the leader. Marion Judicia in second. Caleb Rose in third. Running in fourth is the 14 of Marcus Sachi. Will Parrish runs out your top 5. And then in the 6th position, that's Dana Mon. In 7th is Carter Belair. Alexander Rowe in 8th. Then in 9th is Reagan DeFeo. And Ryan Davis rounds out your top 10. And man, what a story it would be for Ryan Davis to go to victory lane. He has had quite the year thus far. Won the Xfinity Series race at Daytona, and then just about a month and a half later, managed to get his first NOS Energy Cup Series win at the Arena Cafe Norte in Brazil. And I got to tell you, Davis Family Racing has been on fire in the Truck Series, and just like how your team is on fire over here in the Xfinity Series. But it's kind of interesting of how that success in both divisions hasn't quite translated over into the Cup side of both of your programs. And it's got to be a little bit frustrating, Wyatt, but I'm willing to bet that you and also Mary Davis, Mercedes Davis, both still have faith in both of your teams. What are some things that you guys are going to be looking forward to? I mean, especially, you know, as you kind of take a look at your programs in the lower divisions and seeing what you can apply to your Cup programs throughout the rest of the season heading into the following year of 27.
So as you mentioned, like both and Mercedes teams in our lower series, her trucks, mine, Xfinity series are doing pretty well. And as you mentioned, I was going to give a shout out to James Finley Racing. As you mentioned, Ryan's got a win in both Xfinity and Cup. First wins for both series, and her team in the Truck Series, all 3 of the cars went to victory lane in the first 3 out of 7 races now, which is pretty impressive. I don't think that's happened in a team in like either ever or not, or in a long time, at least in that series. But yeah, for my team, especially a Cup side, we are not doing as well as we hoped for. In the beginning of the year, we've been good, but now we're struggling. But hopefully, after the summer stretch, we can turn it around. And we still have one car that could be in contention for the championship. But let's see how the rest of the season goes. And but But Russell, despite you're kind of flip flop of all of us. Like your Xfinity team hasn't really been doing as well. Doing pretty well. You do have a win.
Yeah.
With coming from the number one, but your Cup team though has been outstanding, especially with you getting a win at Talladega.
Yeah, that's what, like, honestly, I wish I could bring my whole team, let them sit in the pit box to see how we operate. Maybe, you know, they could take notes on like how we organize things on the Cup side, and maybe try to apply it in the Xfinity teams. So
wait a minute, hold up. Caution flag waves on lap 33. This is going to be very interesting. We were watching this fight for the lead between Judicia and also Jordan Sumner, but Judicia is going to lead him back to the stripe to start the caution period. And let's see what the culprit was for. I'm not really seeing a lot. I'm not really seeing anything. No tire tracks, no smoke, nothing. So this may potentially have been a debris caution, but that's definitely a great time to actually try to figure out exactly what happened that caused our first caution. I'm still going to stand on this. This could be potentially a debris caution because I don't really see anybody. Oh, well, there's a little bit of damage back there. That's between two Cup drivers, of Val Mosco and Quentin Moore. So I'm definitely going to guess there's going to be a bit of a buckle on the hood of Quentin Moore's car.
I think they were trying to figure out who wants to be the caboose of all this. But no, I do agree. I think, like you said, there's no tire tracks anywhere. And I believe this would be the second race that a caution has come out for debris.
I would have to believe so. The only other cautions that would have been coming out, you know, especially in the Xfinity series of trucks or even the Cup series, it would be for incident. But I'm actually I'm actually kind of surprised to kind of see a debris caution, because especially here in the Xfinity series, they've been so rare. So it's kind of interesting to see that, but looks like we're going to have another 4-tire strategy here. Kind of interesting, even though all these other drivers just took 4 tires on this last green flag stop. Not regardless of that, Judicia is going to win the race off of pit road. Sumner comes out second, Rose third, Belair fourth, Ryan Kendall appears inside of the top 5 for the first time tonight. Then in 6th is Will Parrish. Sachi gets kicked back to 7th. Arun Kankoiloglu 8th. Amon 9th, and Alexander Rowe rounds out your top 10. Let's go back and review what happened that caused our first caution of the night from here at the Michigan International Speedway. And it's absolutely just kind of interesting to see exactly. We're gonna find this out ourselves. Try to figure out where, at least what caused the caution, and at least what brought it out. So we're going to keep an eye on the pace car. And survey says the lights are going to come on. Because I noticed the lights were on just as soon as the drivers were halfway down the backstretch, but more so going into turn number 3. And right there, that's where the lights turned on, and that's where the pace car was getting ready to leave. And let's see exactly if there is any incident. And survey says it doesn't look like there was one. So that we can now officially confirm that was a debris caution that just slowed the field down for the first time here tonight. So this restart coming up is definitely going to be very, very interesting, to say the least. Especially after our first round of yellow flag pit stops. We had just wrapped up with a round of green flag stops not too long ago. But kind of interesting of how these other drivers took 4 tires. But Russell, you did have a little bit of a thought. You were talking about your team, especially in the Cup Series, of how you guys have been absolutely on a roll, especially winning at Talladega, and Stephen Walker actually picking up the pace for you guys. He actually finished second a couple of times, first time at Texas World, and then just recently at the Chicagoland Speedway. Russell, you've got to be feeling it, especially when it comes to your Cup program.
Oh yeah, the Cup program is pretty much on point, give or take the defending champion. But no, yeah, I was trying to tell all the drivers in this series that, you know, just gotta be patient. You know, it's not a sprint. You know, you don't have to try to win it turn 1 or any of that stuff. You know, it will all start coming together. So we'll see how things go in this half of the season. You know, maybe things might turn around. Hopefully, don't flip flop again. So,
well, hopefully that's not the case here, but you never quite know. Anything could happen here in the Xfinity series. How about let's talk about Joshua Neely here for a second, because Neely did get your program's your Xfinity program its first career win, just its second start over at the Minnesota Motorsports Park back in February, and did it in absolutely dramatic fashion, just getting by Erica Douglas on the final lap, heading through turns 3 and 4. Shades of Harrison Burton at the Fall Texas race just 6 years ago. Can't believe it's been that long since that victory by Harrison Burton in real life. But going back here to the Xfinity program here in WRLA, of course, Neely getting your Xfinity Series team its first win. And since then, Neely hasn't quite been up to par since that victory, but I'd say for the most part, he has kind of turned it around. And so far, Russell, he has been running in the 10th position.
yeah, he's been doing pretty good. You know, like you said, that I had that slump. You know, so, you know, I've had to get on to the one team along with the 8. Still working with the 88. You know. So hopefully we can get everybody in the right I can't English right now. I apologize for that. You know, try to get everybody as one unit to where, like, if someone's doing good, we can relay what we're doing on one team to try to get everybody all, like, say, not all in the top 10, but where we're, like, all trying to fight for close to the top 10 or even the win.
Well, so far, it looks like Neely is in a pretty good spot to get the team's second victory of the season, especially for Joshua Neely. You see your top 10 on the top right-hand side of your screen. Marion Judicia is going to have Val Mosco and Quentin Moore, of duo of Cup drivers that we'll see tomorrow night. And Judicia is going to lead him back to the green. And look at the jump that she just got on this restart. She just took off from Jordan Sumner. And let's see how long this gap is going to last, as we're going to see how long it takes for these drivers to get back to that 3 and 4 wide racing that we saw at the beginning of the race after a single file restart. Judicia manages to gap Jordan Sumner there pretty well, I'd say, for the most part, but I'd say give it about a lap or two. Jordan Sumner is going to be all over the back bumper of the 31 of Mary Judicia, not if Caleb Rose is going to have anything to say about it. Look at Ryan Kendall. He's going to slide up the track, almost get hooked in the left rear by Will Parrish. That's going to allow Dana Mon to drive to the inside, 3 wide down the front stretch, about 2 rows deep.
Yeah, to answer your question, I don't think it took very long for them to go back 3 wide. Just a little wiggle.
And meanwhile, you see on the inside again, Moore and Moscow. They are trying to get their laps back. They're trying to get back on the lead lap. We have had no retirees thus far in this race. We've only had one caution, and that was the debris caution that took place on lap 33. Meanwhile, leaders come off of turn number 4. And Judicia continues to defend that top spot from the 98 of Jordan Sumner, who's trying to keep that 43 and now potentially the 00 at bay, as the top 5 are all single file, at least for the moment. Maybe top 4.
Moscow had just gotten their lap back, but got it taken away.
And that's going to allow the top 2 to pull away of Sumner and Judicia, both of our top 2 ladies as of right now here in the Xfinity Series race here tonight. They have been putting on a show for this top position. Mary Judicia still trying to search for her Xfinity Series win. She's been a part of this series since 2017 in its inaugural year, back when we were calling this the McDonald's Series. And here comes Jordan Sumner, going to try to make that pass on the inside line that she's made several times on Caleb Rose. And again, she makes it easy. New race leader, it's Jordan Sumner in the 98.
I've never seen somebody make a pass for the lead not once but twice and make it look like effortless, like if they were sitting still.
Absolutely impressive driving nonetheless out of Jordan Sumner, but look at this pack. They are all double file behind her. You got Caleb Rose and also Carter Belair on the inside line. Belair hanging on inside of the top 5, actually having himself a really good night thus far. Almost took it downstairs to make it 3 wide underneath of Rose and Sumner. But look at Marion Judicia absolutely taking a dare, threading the needle between Sumner and Rose. And she's going to bring the 00 of Ryan Kendall with her as they head back towards turn 1. Uh-oh, almost 4 wide there. With the lapper, the 36 of Moscow, Sumner, also Belair and Rowe, but they file it back down to double file, and they're 3 wide for the race lead yet again. This time it's Rose that has the lift going through the corners. Now it's Kendall and Judicia fighting it out for the top position. Give that lap over to Judicia from the outside line, as we are indeed inside of 20 laps to go. And gentlemen, you definitely have to agree, the volume is definitely getting turned up by every single lap, and all these drivers, they're going to give it all that they can here within these next 16 laps coming up as Kendall leads going into 3.
If this place had a roof on it, it would have been destroyed.
Yeah, they're all... Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'd say they're all still going 3 wide. I saw that in the back. It looks like we're about to go another 3 wide. Up here in the front, maybe 4 wide. Looks like they're trying to go 4 wide in the back. So yeah, definitely the amp has gone. I do not know what's wrong with me today, y'all. I do apologize. I'm usually better than this. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it is definitely amped up. They're all fired up. See, I'm ready for this finish. It's going to be crazy.
Oh, Judicia yet again threading the needle in between of Kendall and Belair from inside of the top 5 as Jordan Sumner continues to pull away from Caleb Rose. Another car into the outside wall. Again, that's Quentin Moore. Remember, he's a lap down. How about Haroon Concoy-Loglu in the 42? He has not really had the best of seasons thus far. And the only other highlights that he's had is just whenever he's being lapped. And I'm not saying that to be mean. That's just the position that we've seen him in quite a lot this year. But it's great to see Haroon Concoy-Loglu inside of the top 10 in car number 42, and looks like he may be challenging for a top 10 finish. Same can be said for Joshua Neely. What a great recovery for him. And how about Reagan Whitlock, Wyatt? Your advice? I bet Reagan Whitlock was definitely listening into this broadcast, because she's definitely taking that advice to heart.
Definitely. She's doing pretty well. Currently, I believe she's my top driver of the of the full. Yeah, of the four. Sorry, I had a brain fart for a second. She's doing pretty well. Moving on to the front. I wouldn't be surprised if that 54 will be a factor for this win by the time this race is over. By the time we get to one to go.
Meanwhile,
and I also
further,
see Campbell Marsh. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
you do see Campbell Marsh back there, currently inside of the top 20, currently scored 19th, so not too bad of a day for him. Same can be said for Derek Hamill in the 19, running in the 17th position, but you saw Celeste Lace thread the needle in between both of those cars, but Lace having himself a pretty good recovery. Reagan DeFeo in the 45. She ran the truck race last night and has moved up into the 13th position, as up front, Sumner continuing to at least trade the lead with several of these other drivers like they're trading Pokemon cards, with now 12 laps to go here in the Ally 250 at Michigan.
I think Judicia, if I pronounced it right, which I probably didn't.
You did, actually.
She's starting to like fall back a little bit. Not a whole lot, but I'm not sure if the battle with Sumner maybe rattled the cage like a hair. But, Sumner and Judicia, they were putting on a clinic, showing the guys, this is how it's done. And I don't think that battle is over by a long shot.
I don't think it's over at all, but meanwhile, as of right now, they have slipped back to 5th and 7th on the racetrack right now. This has given the battle for the lead over to Carter Belair, Rose Rowe, and even the 00 of Ryan Kendall. Two hands with 10 fingers up in the air, signifying 10 laps of racing to go here in WRLA's backyard, Michigan International Speedway. Carter Belair leads it for the first time here today, as far as my knowledge is concerned. And they're starting to pull away from Rowe and Kendall, who are now going to duke it out for second. Actually, Kendall's going to make it look easy as he dive bombs it going through turn 2 and manages to get the spot on the 2 of Alexander Rowe. Now sets his sights on Rose and Belair. And how about this? Reagan Whitlock inside of the top 5. She's going to challenge for 4th. Now 3rd, getting 2 birds with 1 stone.
And very, very impressive. One spot. Especially of all the races I've ever watched.
Oh, contact! Emerald goes Sachi into the wall! So far, it's only just one driver that went into the outside wall. Caution waves. That was contact, I believe, with Mary Judicia and Marcus Sachi, but more so Judicia, I think, made the contact with the 14, but Caleb Rose takes the lead away and will lead the field back to the caution flag. Oh boy, gentlemen, we saw a great finish in the truck race last night. I think we're getting ready to shape up for a great finish here tonight. Oh my God, hit the reset button. We're not done yet.
I'm not gonna lie, my heart dropped. My heart dropped because kneeling in 8th. I know Eric's nearby. My heart just like dropped.
How about talking about the rest of the field, though? Like, they all avoided the 14 pretty good. I was afraid we were going, like, after he hit the wall, he was going to come down and collect more cars. Good job by all the other drivers in the back to avoid the 14. But now,
I thought
gonna
it was
make
gonna
a
be like
final.
Texas World all over again.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Oh, look at this. All these drivers are going to stay out this time. All of them looks like they're going to stay out this time around, and that's actually very interesting. Very reminiscent to what we saw last night. Within 10 to go, nobody came in and made pit stops. So we're definitely seeing the same case here again. And boy, Russell, you talk about hearts dropping. How about the team of the 14 of Marcus Sachi, the pole sitter here for this race, running inside of the top 5, top 10 all night long. And unfortunately, their hearts just completely dropped as the crew saw the 14 just absolutely get sideways and absolutely pound the turn 2 wall.
Yeah, this is, I do feel for them. You have a great car, qualify on the pole, stay within the top 10 the entire race, just for something like that to happen. I mean, I know myself, if that happened to me, well, I'd be livid.
And absolutely, I would not blame you. And I would not also blame Marcus Sacchi for this late race incident right here, as you're going to see the 14 inside of the top 10 heading down into turn number 1. And you got to remember, a lot of these drivers, everybody's going into this first corner at high speed, well over 200 miles an hour. Heading into this first corner, and you definitely got to get on the brakes a little bit, at least let off as much as you possibly can to make the corner. And right there, Sacchi makes contact with Miriam Judicia, and that sends them both up the track and right up into Jordan Sumner. Thankfully, Sumner was able to save it, but Sacchi not so fortunate. He gets into the wall, pancaking the passenger side of his car. Koiloglu's going to get by, as will Steve Morgan. And everybody in this towards the back part of the field, man, great job for everybody to just make space for Marcus Sacchi and not absolutely pile drive into the number 14, as he just held the brakes as hard as he possibly could and for as long as possible in order to make sure that car stayed high. And Sacchi was able to grab a gear and drive away from the accident. Here it is again, this time at full speed. Sacchi was on track to potentially finish inside of the top 10. And I do believe if we go back and look at that again, I think Mary Judicia might have walked up the racetrack just a little bit, might have possibly gotten loose. And I don't think Sacchi was full on expecting it. Let's go ahead and take a slow-mo on board with Marcus Sacchi heading into the corner.
Is I think Sacchi was also trying to go in between Rowe and Judicia.
Actually, no, look at that. It's kind of a combination. I think Judicia got a little bit loose, and at the same time, I think Sacchi was also having to fight a loose condition as well, because remember, the bottom side does not have grip compared to the middle and top lanes, because obviously if you're trying to make a drive down on the inside, you're practically going to be driving on ice, and that's the type of condition that both Judicia and Sacchi were fighting, especially Sacchi, as he was actually trying to stay off of the 31 of Mary Judicia, but I don't think he was even expecting to see the 31 kind of break as much as she did trying to make the corner.
Yeah, turn 1 can be very dangerous, because you got everybody that's on the low line trying to stay on the low line, and everybody that's in the middle and high side trying to dive bomb to try to get to the low line so they can ride up to almost the wall in turn 2 at the exit of turn 2.
Well, absolutely. And with that said, we're more than likely going to restart within 5 laps to go. Maybe get the restart with 4 to go potentially, and that's definitely going to set up a really, I think, a very entertaining sprint race to the finish, and a very impressive, an amazing sprint to the finish. And my goodness gracious. And gentlemen, I'm going to ask you both this question, especially because you both have been in this position before with a late race restart. What do you think these drivers are definitely going to have to do? What do you think is going through the minds of these drivers as they get ready to formulate a plan here for this late race restart?
Well, I know Rose, they're going to have to, as soon as they get in the restart zone, just gun it and try to gap the rest of the field, because we're going to be four to go maybe when we go back green, 3 or 4 to go. there's not going to be many laps, so you want to try to get as much space as between you and the rest of the field as much as possible if you want to secure the win.
Not to mention, try to avoid all the craziness. Because with this restart, we are definitely probably going to have like a bunch of three wides, four wides, and if they're really going to be antsy about it, they're going to be five wide, and that's the part where we got to start worrying. And it depends on how aggressive all these cars are going to be going to the coming to the finish. So this will be good.
And Caleb Rose, man, this would be a really great story for him. Actually formerly raced in the NOS Energy Cup Series last year with his own team of Appalachia Motorsports. They do have a win on their resume with Bruno Diacomo, who now races in the Menards Truck Series. And Caleb Rose races on a part-time basis here in the Xfinity Series for Appalachia, for his own Appalachia Motorsports team. Man, this would be something if he were to go to victory lane here tonight at Michigan. 1 to go has been given, so we will be restarting with 4 laps to go. And fingers crossed, hopefully we don't see a crash come into the white flag like we saw in last night's truck race. That was an absolute monster of a wreck. And that was the biggest wreck that we saw all night last night. So hopefully we don't see something similar to that here tonight in the closing stages of the Ally 250 from here at the Michigan International Speedway. Your top 10 is going to look like this as they work their way down the back straightaway for what could be our final caution of the night. It is Caleb Rose who leads the way. Then in second is the 51 of Carter Belair. Reagan Whitlock in third. Then in fourth is Ryan Kendall. Completing your top 5, that is Alexander Rowe. In sixth is Marion Judicia. Jordan Sumner in 7th. Joshua Neely in 8th. Thomas Jericho in 9th. And Will Parrish rounds out your top 10. Well, at least all but two drivers inside of the top 10 are searching for their first Xfinity Series win. And Caleb Rose, Carter Belair, Reagan Whitlock, it could be any of those drivers or it could be somebody else outside of the top 10. Here we go. Caleb Rose brings them down.
Right by now, they would kind of sprawled out to try to get 2, maybe 3 wide, but they're proving me wrong.
I think they might wait a lap before they start making those types of moves. They were a little bit jagged single file down the back straightaway. Belair took a peek to the inside heading into turn 1. Obviously did not make the challenge. Now he will. Going into turn number 3. He's going to draw a nose to the inside of Caleb Rose. Whitlock absolutely backing off going through turn number 4. She had to lift very hard, and now she's going to lose a little bit of ground to the top 2, who are now duking it out for the top position with 3 to go. Now Alexander Rowe making a challenge for 3rd as they come through turn 2. Carter Belair now going to take over the race lead, heading down the back straightaway, going into turn number 3. Caleb Rose now trying to put the crossover on Carter Belair. That's going to bring Alexander Rowe into the mix. There's contact between Judicia and Kendall coming to 2 laps to go. Neely going to try to thread the needle underneath of Jericho to retain that 8th position. With 2 laps of racing to go from here in Michigan, it has turned into a 3-horse fight for this race win.
This is where it's going to get good.
Oh, Rose definitely shutting the door around the outside, but Carter Belair on the inside going to try to make something happen. They come through turn number 4. White flag is waving. Caleb Rose leads the way. Will he be leading? Coming back to the checkers. Let's find out. Here we go for this final lap. Belair all over the back bumper of Caleb Rose as they go into turn number 1. Now he peaks low underneath of the 43 of Rose as they come through 2. Down the back straightaway one last time. time, almost dead even down the back straightaway. Now Carter Belair is going to clear the 43, and that may do it. They work their way through turn number 4. Rowe's going to have one last shot, but it's not going to be enough. The deal is sealed, and Carter Belair is a McDonald's or now Xfinity Series winner from here in Michigan. I'm thinking back to 2017 with Carter Belair being a part of the division back in that time period. But how about that? 9 years later, Carter Belair can finally call himself an Xfinity Series winner. And Caleb Rose definitely gave it his all. He'll come home in the second position. Alexander Rowe in third. Miriam Judicia absolutely put on a show with Jordan Sumner, duking it out with her for the race lead earlier on. She'll come home in fourth. Reagan Whitlock rounds out your top 5. And then it's Ryan Kendall finishing in the 6th position. Then in 7th is Thomas Jericho. Then in 8th is Jordan Sumner. Joshua Neely 9th, and Reagan DeFeo rounds out your top 10. As we take a look at your finishing results, nobody went out of the race, which is great news, but only 2 cars finished a lap down, that being Val Moscow and Quentin Moore. Both of our cup drivers that were in tonight's field, we'll see them tomorrow, and hopefully they don't go a lap down like they did here for tonight. But my goodness gracious, Wyatt, Russell, we saw an absolute classic here at the Michigan International Speedway, and definitely a good difference between last night's truck race and here tonight. We didn't end under caution, so that's definitely that's definitely great news there. We, for the most part, had a very safe race from here at Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, like, and shout out to the 14, for sticking with it, especially after that hard hit in the wall. I know I took some notes on what to do tomorrow. So low line may not be the best line.
Same here. I took a lot of notes. The racing was great. As you mentioned, we only had like one caution for incident. The other one for debris. So, and you mentioned no cars went out of the race. I'd say that's a good win in my book, especially for this series. Congratulations to the 51 of Carter Belair.
Man, that's absolutely very impressive. What a great night here at the Michigan International Speedway. 2 first-time winners. And how about this, ladies and gentlemen? Chevrolet is also on a streak as well, because they won last night with Billy Kidd, and now here we are tonight. They won with Carter Belair, and now pretty much the manufacturer sweep is on hand for tomorrow night's NOS Energy Cup race from here at the Michigan International Speedway. Coverage for qualifying begins at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to see that over on the WRLA YouTube channel. And then the green flag will fly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over here on Twitch for race number, I believe, 13 of the WRLA NOS Energy Cup Series. One more time, congratulations to Carter Belair on getting the job done from here at the Michigan International Speedway. If you're watching the full race replay, be sure to keep an eye on the WRLA Discord to see your points after this premiere concludes. And while we're at it, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to consider subscribing in order to keep up with all the WRLA content throughout the 2026 season. And if you're watching this live on Twitch, be sure to hit the follow button so you don't miss any sort of future stream, and as well as WRLA content that gets streamed on this channel. Wyatt, Russell, thank you guys so much for joining me here tonight for tonight's coverage of the Xfinity Series events here at Michigan. And you guys definitely have some race cars to prepare for tomorrow. So why don't you guys head on down and definitely get with your teams and see what you got for tomorrow night. And you guys, good luck in tomorrow night's main event.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, again, be sure Be sure to like and subscribe if you're on the WRLA YouTube channel. Follow the Twitch as well. And again, tomorrow night, we've got NOS Energy Cup Series racing from here at the Michigan International Speedway at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live right here on Twitch. Qualifying will also kick off at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on the YouTube channel. One last time. And again, congratulations to Carter Belair on getting the job done here at Michigan International Speedway. The second half of the season well underway here for the Xfinity Series. And we only have 9 races to go after tonight. So business is about to pick up for sure. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you all for tomorrow night's main event in WRLA's backyard here at Michigan. This WRLA telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without any authorized written consent of 11 Broadcasting. WRLA would like to thank all of our loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.